Thanks for having that be an introduction to this. So hi, everybody. Great to see you all again. Obviously, I've seen most of you multiple times over the last 8.5 years, actually. But good to see you. Consider everyone on this call a friend as well as a colleague in this really important work that we're doing. So thank you for letting us have time on your agenda again. As you know, we want to talk about childcare this month. And part of this is because for our May council meeting, we're going to be focused on childcare. So we're trying to get some groundwork laid now as far as what you all are doing in this realm out in your own regions. And then part of it also is because some of us council members are spending quite a bit of time down at the legislature, talking individually with legislators and or their staff. And even though we go in with early learning kind of broad hat on for all of our 6 agency partners, virtually in every conversation, childcare comes up. So it's an issue that legislators are hearing about from all parts of the state. And it's one that we know needs a lot of support, and eventually we certainly need a lot of legislative support. So that's sort of laying the groundwork for this conversation. And what we're hoping to do today, mostly for us on the council, is to listen. We really want to learn from you all what is happening in your regions around childcare, your involvement in those efforts as the hub leaders. What's going well, where are some barriers or challenges that you're facing. Just put it out there. We know money is a big one, so that one is well established. But in addition to resources, what are some challenges? And then what would be any ideas you and your governance board or staff are considering as far as what can we try to work on from a system level standpoint? How do we try to change systems if we don't have a lot of new resources, which we probably won't have this session for sure? What are other things that we can be working on that are probably more at a policy level, and not necessarily at a finance funding level? So we're going to set this up. I'll let Peter and Liz introduce themselves in a minute, but we're going to do what we did, I think, 2 months ago and have 3 breakout rooms so that each of us on the council members who are here can have a better chance to connect with a smaller group of you. And then we'll listen to your comments and then come back just for the last 5 minutes as far as trying to kind of share out what we heard in the 3 different groups. So before we do breakout rooms, let me invite my fellow council members, Peter and Liz, to introduce themselves. I think you all know them, but they'll introduce themselves and then we'll break into groups. And Peter, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, Peter Buckley. I'm a council member. I work with Southern Oregon Success, which is a collaboration support of children and families in Jackson, Josephine counties.
Thanks, Peter. And Liz.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Farrar Campbell. I'm on the Early Learning Council. I hail from Eastern Oregon over in Gillum County and excited for the conversation today.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz and Peter. So are there any questions before we go into the breakout room? I see that Gabby put the questions in the chat, which hopefully you also received in advance of this meeting, I think. Any questions, or how much time do we have? Good question. Begonia, I think we have 30 minutes total. So we were thinking we'd do 25 minutes in these breakout group rooms and then 5 minutes for sharing. And staff is going to be in each of the breakout rooms taking notes. So we will be able to compile the notes and have a more comprehensive listing of what you all are telling us.
And I also have a form that I created for more written responses in case something comes to mind after the meeting, and I'll put it into the chat when we come back into the large group setting.
Okay, great. Thanks, Gabby. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so we're listening. So this is your meeting, hub directors. Okay, thanks. I don't know who's setting up the breakout groups. As always, we ran out of time. Julian, wherever you are on the screen, sure, if you'd send me information about that, I would appreciate it.
I'd be happy to.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Wow, okay, lots going on, and I appreciate the sharing that you did. Let me ask Liz and Peter to just do a couple of the top topics or takeaways. Liz, do you want to start?
Yeah, we had a great discussion. Could have used like another 20 minutes probably. Some areas where there is some work happening. In Washington County, Evan had talked about how there's some discussions happening with our municipal partners who are looking at their role in terms of fees, development fees, other things when new childcare facilities are being built, to see what they can do. I think we heard some of that related to, some of the local planning laws are also sort of tied in with that. So that is happening, but it's not in a sort of concerted. I mean, those are individual municipalities that are taking that initiative. And so definitely an area that probably every region could stand to look at their planning laws and their development fees to see if they can help. Let me see what else is happening here. In terms of some system changes, we had some discussions around ERDC and slots that are going unused and whether there's an ability to go back and figure out, are families not using them because they can't find a provider, or are they not intending to use them? And is there a way for those that aren't intending to use them, for those to be returned to the system, basically, so the next people on the list can utilize them? We also talked about Preschool Promise in particular, and maybe an opportunity to rethink, for instance, the 900-hour coverage, and whether one of the things we might need to look at is there a way to make Preschool Promise better align with parents' actual work hours? One idea was possibly taking the transportation related funding that's associated with Preschool Promise, but often isn't used by providers, and sort of repurposing that into wraparound care. So getting more creative with those funding streams. And let me see what else. Those are kind of the high points. There's more about double dipping, also monitoring to make sure that quality is happening in those programs. So a lot of feedback around, I think, ways that we can refine, in particular, Preschool Promise and ERDC, just to better serve parents and kiddos, and make sure we're utilizing all of the funds that's available. So.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, Liz, and your cohort. Peter.
So our group, there's a really good discussion about a lot of things happening all over the state. in terms of professional development opportunities, hubs and CCRRs, helping people into the field, making sure there's a clear pathway and there's support. There are places that are be able to get some grant funding to be able to offer bonuses when someone hires on to work in early childhood. Is there after 6 months? Is there after a year, et cetera, try to sustain the workforce. So it seems like there's, the pieces in terms of recruitment and be able to bring people into the workforce are good. We have a lot of good tools to use. We just don't have the resources that we need as always. And there was some good discussion too about work with employers in different regions. I did not know that Patagonia had an on-site childcare, and they've somehow figured out the finances how to make that work, Sue. So we have to look into that and say, how did you do that? How are you making the finances work for your company to have an on-site childcare program?
So is that in Portland? Do you know, Peter?
I'm not sure where it was. I think it was in Portland.
Okay,
But we'll look into that.
yeah.
And then the kind of things that are coming up as barriers. One that seems that we could address is, can we make the rules for childcare? Can we make it more streamlined? Can we simplify them in any way? And if nothing else, can we make them more user friendly? So you're not getting this really legalistic document that you have to fight your way through. But can we simplify it so it's a little more user friendly, so it doesn't scare people off when they're considering? Insurance came up. I noticed in the chat, Jillian had a note there about is it possible to have a state association to purchase insurance? And that's the same thought I had. It's something I think the council should look into. Do other states have an association that providers can get insurance through as a way to hold down costs? I think it's a very important situation for us to look into. And then the support for there's a bill currently in legislature to loosen up zoning codes for cities to be able to put childcare centers in more places around their towns and cities. The second floor, remodeling a second floor unit is a problem, but there are churches perhaps that might have a second floor classroom that could be child. Is there a way to work in partnership with the fire chiefs, et cetera, how can we make that work? So those were some issues that were brought up. And I'll leave it
Wow.
there.
Okay. There is so much to know and to learn about. So we had some similar conversations to what both you and Peter and Liz have said. Certainly talked about preschool promise and just how to align that with, make it more childcare user friendly. Had some exciting awarenesses, I guess, of where businesses are weighing in and supporting childcare workforce training and retention with some, incentives for completing work, for completing, especially in professional development, completing the training programs. Exciting to hear that workforce boards are asking about childcare and actually going to have a conference in Pendleton with, I guess, a breakout part or the section will be on childcare. So I think we're all knowing that we've got to get business to the table and have them be part of the solution and help us figure this out. We also know that some of the CCOs are supporting efforts to improve childcare, expand it and make it more accessible, and do some work with the professional development. And then had examples of where the fees from at the local level, city level, can be prohibitive for childcare providers. So great conversations and lots more to learn. Yeah, Peter.
I didn't bring up the campaign, the Best Place for Working Families campaign, which is it's going to go statewide so we can work with our local business communities to really give credit to people that are helping their workers with childcare.
Oh, who's doing that campaign?
Gabby's got the notes.
Oh, okay,
We
okay,
launched it in Lynn, Benton, and Lincoln
Christie,
counties and
yeah.
Lane County and I believe Douglas County. But for the cost, if we also did a statewide logo, we got our cost at half price. So it's Holly and then my business liaison.
awesome. Okay, so maybe you could send out more information on that, either Christy or Nancy or Maria or Gabby.
It looks like Chris at Lane Early Learning Hub is also doing that.
Oh, that's who it is.
Awesome. Yeah, the more we can share all of this, obviously, the better we're all gonna be. Super. Okay, thank you all very, very much. We appreciate your input. I know Gabby put in the chat the form that she put together in case you have other ideas or specifics that you want us to be aware of. And know that this is definitely a priority for the council, and we will be working on it very intently for the next couple of months while the legislature's in town, and then see if we can make any progress. So thank you all. Have a good rest of your meeting and afternoon. Thanks for giving us time.
Take care.
Thank you. That was an amazing conversation. We will post the smart sheet on the portal so that as you're thinking of things you want to share, you can just put it in right there. I think we will move to the next section, which is just a brief update on rules. I can share my screen. We just wanted to let you know what's happened since we gathered for our listening session. So just a moment. Maria, do you want to start us out?
Yes, I can. So we did gather your feedback from the idea board, and we are going to be posting a tracker where we put all of the feedback that we received and just the status of it and where we are. And so we're going to have some comments there. And so we will post that starting on March 14th. So you can keep an eye out for that. And at this time, we really wanted to give you also a big thank you. We've had quite a few RAC applications. I believe we're up to over 40 at this point. And just another reminder that that is open until the 10th, which is on Monday. So if you have anyone else that might be interested, please help us get the word out. But we have a really great pool of individuals already and are excited to start going through that and share out who is selected here soon. Nancy?
Yeah. So we wanted to make sure you knew that we will be sending invites for a rules listening session with Backbone entities for March 19th. We have the list of contract signers that we'll be sending the invites to, but we would love your help in adding any contact names for folks in your Backbone entity who might be closer to the work. We will post this Google Sheet in the portal under the rules section. And we are just hoping to get those invites out and just have a listening session similar to the session we had with all of you that was so incredibly helpful. Next, we will be presenting the rule set to the Early Learning Council on March 26th. Our plan for that presentation is to share some background on our build work, how that informed rules, and then the bulk of the presentation will be sharing the proposed changes rule by rule. And then finally, just a reminder that we will continuously be posting information in the rules section of the portal. So please visit that often. We will remind you in the newsletter when we have new articles to post, but just wanting to let you know that's the landing spot for all things rules, as well as really all things Hub. And that's it for our update. Becky, did you have an update that you wanted to share as well? Or if anyone has questions, we would be happy to take those right now as well.
Yeah, I'll pause and see if anybody has questions and then jump in for a quick update. Okay, hearing none. I know Carla has an important fiscal update to give you all, so I'm not going to take up too much time, but I just wanted to pop in and say hello to everybody again and just let you know how wonderful it has been this past month to have an opportunity to meet with many of you one-on-one. I believe I've already had a chance to meet with 14 of you. So just a couple more of those meet and greets left before I'll have had a chance to have one-on-ones with all 16 regions. And it's just been so great having that chance to connect and learn about some of your regionally based strategies and your current priorities, what you're perceiving as the strengths and some of the challenges of your hubs right now, and just getting a little bit of the flavor of what each of your regions has going on right now. So looking forward to those last couple of meet and greets, and then having a chance to go back and review all of those conversations, which really were so informative. I wish I could have had 3 times the amount with each of you at least, but even just having that little bit of insight into what's happening with each of your hubs has been very helpful, and I'm grateful for your time. I'm going to be moving into conversations with CCR&R directors next as well, so looking forward to that. And I've had some great conversations with most of the Early Learning Council as well. So looking forward to doing some review there. And then I've been participating with some of you also on that build initiative work around the coordinated enrollment redesign. And I wanted to just give you a quick update there as well, that we, DELC, will be hiring for a coordinated enrollment manager to lead DELC's strategic planning and design of the early childhood coordinated enrollment system. So we'll keep you posted on and updated as plans move forward with that. I've also been joining DELC's suspension and expulsion prevention internal work group, or Every Child Belongs. And so working on just tracking the progress of ongoing tasks there and ensuring alignment among our team members and planning for engagement with partners moving forward. So that's exciting work going on here too. I just wanted to give you one other update, which a lot of you had a chance to meet with or hear from Chris O'Grady, our legal affairs manager. And I just wanted to give you the update that she has accepted a new position as the director of tribal affairs at CARE Oregon. So her last day at DELC is going to be this Thursday, March 6th. She served DELC for 5 years and was collaborating very heavily on this first phase of Early Learning Hub rulemaking. And so, we'll miss her. And I know she really appreciated the opportunity to collaborate with Maria and Nancy and with the Early Learning Hubs on this important work. So we thought we definitely wanted to share that news with you. But moving forward, we'll be working with Carrie McCann, whom you all know as well, who's now our policy and strategy director. So we'll be working closely with her on any legal affairs and rules related work moving forward. And we'll just keep you posted on how things are progressing in that office, as well as they look to fill Chris's position as well. So I think that was it from me. Just thanks again for the meet and greets this month, and I'll just look forward to continuing to connect with you all.
Thank you, Becky. That was a great update. I'm going to pass it along to Carla for a discussion about fiscal monitoring. Take it away, Carla.
Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to come on today to talk to you guys for a few minutes about fiscal monitoring that will be happening during the next couple of months for your Early Learning Hub grant. My intent today is to provide some introductory information, a general timeline, and kind of just introduce some next steps on how this is going to go for the next couple of months. I'll be going through some slides, and then at the end, hopefully we have some time to answer any immediate questions you might have. As a reminder, monitoring is listed in your Early Learning Hub agreement for March through May of 2025. This cycle, we will be doing fiscal monitoring and only on a couple of pre-selected funding streams. So the purpose of fiscal monitoring is to ensure that all administered funds are spent wisely and that projects are in compliance with their executed agreements. In addition, fiscal monitoring will give us insights on any potential commonalities, both positive or areas of improvement across the entire grant, and give us some big picture ideas of what's going on. Next slide, please. We will be reviewing 2 different funding streams over a 1-quarter period. The first one will be your system coordination funds for the quarter of January through March of 2024. And then the second one will be your Title 4B2 family support for the same period. If your hub did not place any claims during that period, for either of those funding streams, we will monitor the prior period for whichever one needs to be adjusted, and that will be noted in the letter that I'm planning on sending out. Next slide. Thank you. So you will receive an official monitoring letter sent by me via email in mid-March. This will be sent to the hub director or directors, and I will CC whoever was the signer on the agreement, if that person was different, or the person currently in that position if the signer is no longer at your organization. My ask is that you please make sure that you share this information along to any additional appropriate people at your backbone agency that will help support you in this process. So your business office, your finance people, etc. Each hub will have approximately 60 days from the date of the letter to provide their initial documentation to me. And DELC, we will be providing a secure file transfer link where the documents can be submitted to us. So instead of a smart sheet or via email, we'll be providing a secure method for you to get that information to us. Next slide. So this will be included in the letter in more detail, but some of the things that we will be asking for include your general ledger for those reporting periods requested and supporting documentation for payroll, travel, supplies and materials, and your subgrants and subgrant or subcontract information. So we will be asking for a list of all subcontracts or subgrants that are being funded with hub grant funding streams, regardless if it's one of the streams that are being monitored or not. So this will include your KPI, as well as City Healthy Attach, etc. At a minimum, we will be asking for you to include who the entity is that you're subcontracting with and the amount of the agreement. This could be a list, or it might be even as simple enough as just sending us copies of the agreements. It'll have all the pertinent information in there. You don't have to recreate any documents. All of this will be in the letter as well. Next slide. And then additional examples of supporting documentation that can help streamline this process can include, but it's definitely not limited to, things like meeting agendas, mileage reimbursement or travel forms, purchase orders, expense reports for purchasing or credit cards, job descriptions for positions that are paid via your funding streams, and FTE breakdowns if it's split across multiple funding streams. Next slide. And then, so once it's received, I will review the documentation provided. Based on what you submit, I may reach out with some follow-up questions or request additional documentation if I need some clarity as appropriate. Once everything is reviewed, we will provide you with a findings letter to wrap the whole thing up. This letter will celebrate the strengths that your hub has within their fiscal process, suggestions for improvements going forward, or any guidance or corrections depending on each individual hub's results. In a rare case that there are significant concerns, further monitoring may occur. That is not my intention going into this at all. But it really depends on, what happens down the road. Anticipate completing this process on or around June 30th, 2025. Please don't hold me to that exact date. It might fluctuate a little and have some grace with me on that. But I will try to get that as close to that date as possible. Next slide. So what can we do to get through this together? I really want to emphasize from like the bottom of my heart that I am here for you. And I want to make this a collaborative process. I'm not here to get anyone. I'm really here for you guys to succeed. And that means that I'm succeeding in my work as well. It definitely has been a while since the hubs have had fiscal monitoring, and this will be the first time that I will be going through the process with you since I joined DELC about 2.5 years ago. I think that what will make this process go as smooth as possible is keeping active lines of communication open. Like I said, I really want to see you guys all succeed. So if we work together as a team, we can definitely figure this out. If there's any questions or concerns, I'm more than available to kind of walk through what's going on and figure out the best way to get the documentation. Next slide. So all that to say, to kick things off, I will be joining Maria and Nancy in most of your monthly check-ins in the next couple of weeks. I want to be available to answer any questions that are popping up. I know that we have a vast range of hub director experience right now, and we want to be able to support you where you're at and where your hub is at. So we wanted to do individual check-ins to be able to fine-tune to what you as a director are needing at this time. Some of you guys have probably done this a dozen times. Some of you guys, this is your first time like me, so we can work on it all together. There are 1 or 2 hubs where unfortunately I was already booked during your meeting, but I will be reaching out to schedule an alternate time to connect with you and make sure that you have an initial meeting with me to answer any of those initial questions that you might have. But in addition, and like always, not just with monitoring, I'm always available via email, phone, video call. I'm more than happy to provide technical assistance for you, for your fiscal staff, anyone that needs support or clarity in getting through this process. And I think that's all that I have, but I am more than happy to answer any immediate questions that you guys might have, but keeping in mind too that if nothing pops up right now, I will be meeting with all of you guys in the next couple of weeks as well. Jay, any questions for me? You guys going to make it easy?
I see a nice.
I'll take easy. No.
Carla, I see a nice shout out for you from Lisa. You're such a great resource and support. And I think that really summarizes, how thoughtfully you have laid this process out. So I just wanted to thank you. Oh, and it looks like Renee has a question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carly. Just a clarifying question. So the family support will also be including the family preservation funds as well? Just wanting to make sure.
Yep, just the support one.
Thank you.
Rod.
And Carla, did you say if we had contracts in that quarter through KPI, those would be included or no?
Yeah, so we're just trying to kind of get a big pic, taking advantage of the fact that I'm already going to be tasking with you guys with giving me a bunch of documentation anyways, that we're just kind of getting a pulse on what subcontracting or subgrants are looking out across the entire hub programs or system, I should say. So we won't be asking for too much, at the very minimum, who you're subcontracting with, how much it is. But like I said, if you're at an ESD or another agency and you're already doing an agreement, a mini grant, something that they've already signed, all your information's already going to be there. So you're more than welcome if you guys feel comfortable by just sending me copies of that, and that should suffice as well, because it'll have everything that we're kind of looking for. And then Krista in the chat had mentioned, oh, so the letter, I will hopefully be sending it by mid-March. That's why I said approximately 60 days, because my goal is to give you 60 days. It might be a little bit more. We're waiting for the secure server link, and I want to include that in that email. So I'm waiting for IT to get me that link. And then once I have that, I can send it out. So it could be earlier than mid-March, within the next week or so, but ideally, I would say by around the 14th or so is my goal.
I think
Lisa.
Begonia was next.
Yeah, Carla, you are super efficient and you use the Smartsheets and other apps. So what are you going to be using so that we can have in one place everything and a check system? Because even if you indicated that it's only a couple of funding streams, you're also requesting additional information, and it is a lot. So is there going to be a clear way for us to see what we are submitting and a check mark to like, okay, done, completed, you can move to next, and then we can go back to see things if we need it?
That's a really good question, Begonia. So my plan was to have a bullet point list within the letter of the things that we're asking for. And then we wanted to use one of the secure servers just to kind of keep things safe. So I don't know if anyone was, some of you guys probably did it with CCR&Rs who have a CCR&R. So it's just one of those, kind of like a folder. So we give you a link, and then it'll say, who are you sending this to? Carla. And then you drop all the info in there. So I don't know if within that there'll be a way to do that, but I can check and see if maybe I can do some sort of checkbox list PDF thing that I can kind of supply in addition to kind of help you, check off all the boxes. Yeah, that's a great feedback. Thank you. I don't know who is next, Lisa or Chris.
I'll go. I'm sure it'll be super clear in your email that you're going to be sending out. But when I think about the different level of grants or subcontracts that we have, they vary from, large grants where, particularly around KPI, where we're working with school partners to fund positions, to fund, certain activities, all the way down to some more, I'll say, sort of lesser agreements, still utilizing the same fund. So like how deep are you going to be wanting to see some of those types of agreements?
So like I was saying, at the very minimum, it's just kind of who and how much. And if it's an agency or a group that maybe we're not familiar with, I might circle back and go, ooh, can you give me a little bit more info on that?
Sure.
But that's why I also offered that if you wanted to just send a copy of what your sub agreement looks like or subcontract, it would probably have everything in there, like your scope of work. So I'll know what they're doing kind of thing. So that might just be easier to send those instead of anticipating me probably following up.
Okay. Because it could be a lot, right? So I'm just trying to scale this for you too.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. So yeah, just something we can kind of work through together when we get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Chris. You're muted.
I clicked it. There we go. So you said you would like subcontracts and all of that outside of this quarter, like just everything. I'm wondering, with the early literacy funds, we did mini grants with that, with a lot of that money. Do you want, even though it's not in that quarter, do you want like all those award letters for that?
Yeah. So it'll be, yeah, I know I'm giving myself a lot of work. I'm very aware of the hole I'm digging myself into, but it is just something that's just been a little bit overdue, just kind of getting, a pulse on who we're working with within our communities. So that'll just be really helpful. And I'll detail a little bit more in the letter, which funding streams, what time span, as well, but yeah.
And if we used the same exact contract from multiple organizations, do you want each contract, or do you want a spreadsheet that says this contract same numbers, same dates, same everything went out to these organizations.
Whatever works easier for you, but that sounds like for a situation like a mini grant thing where you're sending it to maybe 10, 15 people, but it was the same scope of work and the same maybe dollar amount or similar amount.
The mini grants wouldn't be the same amounts. I'm just thinking like with our family resource centers, everybody gets the same amount, the same contract, but it goes to 9 people. So I don't know if you want 9 contracts or a spreadsheet and 1 contract as a sample.
That would definitely be fine.
Okay. Thanks.
I think Begonia and Jillian. Yeah.
I think Begonia just had her hand
Okay,
up.
Jillian.
Jillian, yeah.
Hi, many years ago, probably in about 2015, we had an audit, and what was really helpful was we had a checklist, and so we could go through, so all the things you said and examples, so that we aren't all asking you multiple questions. If we could have a really identified checklist with examples of what would be helpful for you, then that would be really helpful for us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. That's great feedback. Like I said, this is first time I'm doing it with you guys, and I know it's been, I want to say maybe 2021. It was definitely pre me. Yeah, just I'm super thrilled for any feedback you want to share.
And yours, it sounds a lot better than the one we had back then when we had a Dropbox. And so thank you very much.
Oh, don't thank me yet, but I will try my hardest. All right. Anything else right now? Like I said, if things pop up, definitely just jot them down. I'm more than happy to tackle those questions as we meet in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, Carla. And I also really appreciate that you're able to pop in on all of our check-in meetings. I think that's going to be really helpful to answer any of those little questions that just come up.
Thank you.
And with that, I think we're wrapping up. Thank you all for being here. As you know, Marie and I love to get your feedback on our meetings. So I am going to drop in the
exit survey. Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Right there. And we also always keep this posted on the portal. We'll also put the form for more written response from Gabby on the portal as well. And I think that's a wrap. Maria, do you have anything else to share, or Becky?
No, I don't think so. I think we'll also be posting that contact sheet for the backbones as well. And so you'll get your recap email. And so, yeah, you can head to the portal for any of that. And we'll just help with reminders at our check-ins. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.